Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi received a 3-hour top-secret briefing today in the Army War Room by Chief of Staff Committee, General Bikram Singh, along with Defence Minister and National Security Advisor on the state of preparedness. Sources told Headlines today that Prime Minister was given a detailed brief on terror issues, especially related to Jammu and Kashmir and the northeast region. The army also laid down its requirement and the need for modernization. India's border scenario with Pakistan and China was also taken up. Since the Army Chief is also the chairman of Chief of Staff Committee, he also informed the Prime Minister on tri-service issues. Modi has a daunting military mission. India's armed forces are in a precarious position, not just in terms of the chronic lack of modernization, but also as a result of repeated frontier violations by Pakistan and China, the certainty of terror rising with the impending US pullout from Afghanistan, and a deadly spike in cyber attacks as a result of inadequate defenses and counterintelligence, the lack of a clear mandate on special operations and decisions on border infrastructure that simply cannot be postponed any longer. Well, Prime Minister Modi has responded to the letter written by his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif and has expressed happiness at Sharif's decision to be present for the swearing-in ceremony on 26th of May. The letter states that India and Pakistan, defined by peace, friendship and cooperation, would be of tremendous significance for the progress of the two countries and the entire region. Modi's letter highlights the importance of mutual coexistence and underlines India's point that an atmosphere free from confrontation and violence is imperative for the two governments to work together. While Narendra Modi's emphasis on an atmosphere free from violence and confrontation comes in the wake of recent ceasefire violations from the Pakistani side along the LOC in Poonch and Rajouri sector in Jammu and Kashmir. All right, let me now quickly go across to our to Strategic Affairs editor Gaurav Sawant, who's now joining us. And Gaurav, before I speak to you about the letter that the Prime Minister has written to Nawaz Sharif, I want to bring in the subject of Prime Minister meeting the Army Chief and holding the meeting today in the War Room, Army War Room. Just take us through the range of issues that were taken up for discussion.
This was Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first briefing in the Army War Room. This is the military operations MO war room where the Prime Minister was briefed. He was briefed by the Chief of the Army Staff, General Bikram Singh. Apart from the Raksha Mantri, Arun Jaitley, and the Raksha Rajya Mantri, we also had the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, who attended this briefing. And the entire gamut of national security issues, right from Pakistan to China to left-wing terror to internal security scenario to extremism to internal security challenges, they were all taken up at the level of the threat that the nation faces. Then the critical shortages in equipment and defense preparedness, that issue was addressed in terms of what is it that is immediately required, what is it that can come after some time, and what is it that can come gradually. All of this, the army made a presentation to the Prime Minister, especially in terms of equipment that is critically required for national defense, in terms of war wastage reserves, and in terms of taking the offensive should the need arise. All of that was discussed with the Prime Minister.
Clearly, there's no time to lose given the red tape that our forces have faced as far as acquiring modern equipment is concerned. Also, at the same time, the way we are looking at things at the border, ceasefire violations that continue. Just take us through some of the key points, perhaps, that were raised by the Chief of Army Staff today in this meeting with Prime Minister.
Sources in the army tell us, as far as the LC situation is concerned, the army told the Prime Minister the situation is well under control. The army dominates the adversary all along the 770-kilometer long line of control and the 110-kilometer long actual ground position line in the Siachen Glacier. And then when it comes to the India-China boundary issue in eastern Ladakh, the Prime Minister was briefed about what we term as Chinese incursions and what the Chinese term as the ambiguity, their perception and our perception, and what is it that India is now doing to ensure that this doesn't happen and how do we counter it. The Prime Minister was also briefed about how the Chinese had come 20 kilometers deep inside in the Depsang Valley, how that operation was handled. what sources are also telling us, the army is now looking for higher direction from the Prime Minister on how to deal with such a scenario. If I could come back to the situation at the line of control, when incidents like this happen, one thing is very clear from what my sources are telling me. The government has told the army what happens at the line of control should be tackled by the army itself at the tactical level. They need no higher direction. They need no higher clearance. It's for the commander on ground to decide how he deems it fit to retaliate, and he has the freedom to do so, Ruchika.
All right, so all these issues brought to Prime Minister's attention today in this meeting, the top secret military meeting, internal security situation that was discussed with the Prime Minister today. Thank you very much, Gaurav, for taking us through the details.